on all of the silly little stuff that we do here to get it like a show going. But trust me, whenever I say this, everybody, it is not easy. It is not as easy as you all think it is. Uh, we had a minor meltdown with some of the audio equipment that we have in here. We would not have been able to hear each other. We would not have been able to hear any of the commercials. And Dave, about 4 minutes before we get on, is finally done with what it is he's got to do. The fact that he was able to do that and the amount of time he had, once again, goes on to prove how much of an asset he is to us. But it is Fire and Ice. Brandon the Iceman Cohn, Mike Tipton, we are hanging out with you here on a Saturday afternoon. We got Destiny running the board for us today. We've got a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about here as I try to pull up all of these things in the last second. I apologize, Brandon. I can see the look on your face. You're like, oh my God, what is going on here?
Are you kidding me? I'm just happy to be here. That's all.
But we are brought to you here on the Just the Tip Network. We have expanded to include not just Fire and Ice, but the Tipping Point as well. But we've also included our guy, Danny Hoben. He has a podcast called Another Lost Weekend. And starting in May, we will be broadcasting the Sun City Stealth games as well on the Just the Tip Network. It's going to be on YouTube, Facebook, all over the place. If you're interested in advertising with that, please send us an email, slide into my DMs, any of that stuff. Just the tip _915 at gmail.com is that email address. Brandon, what a week we've had, my friend, with NFL free agency, with everything going on in the world of sports. What has stuck out to you so far?
Well, one of the things, obviously, early in the week was the free agent frenzy in the NFL. And certainly one of the things that irritated me the most was Dallas Cowboys' lack of intensity to go after anybody at all. And I mean anybody. You know, one thing is you see teams make little splashes, but when everybody else in your division makes a tremendous splash for the most part, and at least does something at the running back position, and then you do absolutely nothing but lose people and don't go after any of the good to, let's call them, even if you want to call them, you know, decent running backs. To me, you know, when Jones says, we're going all in, where are you going all in for absolutely nothing this year? Because you continue to show why you're a joke of a franchise. You continue to show why you're not all in. You're anything but all in. And now you're going to rely on Rico Dowell, the kid who doesn't have that much experience. And, of course, you're going to go in on a draft class that isn't even that deep at running back, hoping to get someone that's worth a crap. But you want to talk about a crapshoot. That's the biggest crapshoot of them all. I can't believe they did absolutely nothing. I'm disgusted by it.
I understand everybody's frustration in, you know, being upset with the Dallas Cowboys, right? Like the first couple of days, I was upset as well, but then I had to remember what this franchise does. They never make big splashes in free agency. They just don't. They never have, right? That's Jerry Jones' thing, is we're going to build this thing from the ground up. I like Rico Dowdle. I know a lot of people don't, but I like Rico Dowdle. I think the kid's going to be great. He runs hard. He reminds me of Isaiah Pacheco in Kansas City. The exact type of runner like that. The only thing is if you had Tony Pollard on the franchise tag, you're paying him $12 million, you better feed him the damn ball, right? But we've seen this with the contracts that we're seeing in the NFL right now when it comes to running backs. There's not a value there. Someone like Aaron Jones making $8 million a year, and I don't know if you saw this with all of the other contracts that were out there. None of these running backs really outside of Saquon Barkley signed a more than 1 year quote unquote deal. They all have team options, player options, things like that. These are basically 1 year deals. The Ravens have Derrick Henry for what is it, a year at $8 million each or something like that. Like it's not these huge numbers, so there's not really a value there. And I think if you got a guy that could be like a Rico Dowdle, why wouldn't you rather go that route as opposed to, again, you're handcuffed, right? The Dallas Cowboys, for whatever reason, don't know how to navigate the salary cap. So for me, it's like, don't spend all that money out there on those free agents. The thing that hurt me the most, though, was watching the players that left the Dallas Cowboys. Dan Quinn now, the head coach, our former defensive coordinator, the head coach over there in Washington, and it seems like he's just taking everybody with him right now, right? Mm-hmm. They signed Austin Eckler, huge pickup for them. They get Tyler Biotic, our starting center. They get Dorrance Armstrong, one of our defensive ends. They get Dexter Fowler, another one of our defensive ends. So it's almost like they're going to be Dallas Cowboys light. But those defensive ends were also very impactful on making sure that they were getting to the quarterback. Dorrance Armstrong was second in the team in sacks. You're talking about big, major pieces that the Cowboys didn't bring back. Sure, they brought back C.J. Goodwin. Sure, they brought back Jordan Lewis. Mm-hmm. And my Facebook friend, actual friend of mine, long snapper Trent Seed.
Are you serious? That's great.
Yeah. And I put that out there in jest because I knew that he would hate it. But the comments and hate that I got for putting out that the Cowboys re-signed Trent Sieg was just insane to me. It's like, oh, we need more than a long slapper. Like, he's a human being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has feelings.
I'm glad my guy's getting paid.
He has feelings. Look, I mean, I understand you're trying to be conservative because you want to give Dak Prescott ridiculous amounts of money. You want to keep him as your franchise quarterback. I get it, okay? But when everybody else is improving in that one particular spot where it's not a strong suit of yours and you're not, to me, that's a sense of no urgency at all. Not just a lack of urgency, but no urgency at all. And then if you're not going to sign anybody, for crying out loud, at least keep who you have. Even though Pollard wasn't stunning, he still was at least good enough for last year. I mean, but again, you're not going to do anything, so at least keep. If what's the expression? If you don't love the one, if you're not in love with the one you have, you love the one you're with. I messed that up completely. I think it's something to the effect of, if you can't be with the one you love the one you're with. That's it. To quote my late great friend Smitty, he used to say that. But you love the one you're with, so you take what you have. If you have no intention, which clearly they didn't, of going after anybody because the price was too high. Really, the price was too high.
I like that. I feel like you've got to build like long-term stuff, and none of these running backs. And I love me some Aaron Jones, but look at how expendable Aaron Jones became to the Green Bay Packers, right? And he was the reason why they beat the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs to begin with. He was their main weapon that they've been using against other teams because he's a hell of a running back, and they just let him walk because, again, there's no value in the running back position. I think it sucks because I'm old school. I love me some old school football, and I think that the running back position needs to be valued. But whenever I look at the NFL and the landscape right now, you have Daryl Mooney that nobody's heard of, making more money than Saquon Barkley.
Crazy.
You know what I mean?
That's
it's just
insane.
Because the premium on the wide receiver position. I look at the Dallas Cowboys, and I kind of laugh at it too, and they're like, yeah, we're all in. Well, what is all in? Right? Like, define what all in is, right? What is your definition of all in?
Not what we think it is.
No, because
not what we think it is.
Obviously, we think maybe they're all in on winning a Super Bowl. Maybe Jerry's definition is we're all in on starting the year of 2024 off right. Right? Like maybe we get a win week one, and that's what makes the Dallas Cowboys all in, right? Our guy Jonathan Hood from ESPN 1000 in Chicago, great question that he sent me on text. Are the Dallas Cowboys still America's team?
Well,
and if not, who is?
I mean, to me, with the star, it makes you America's team because of the star, because of the history what that team used to be years ago. So that's a great question. I don't think I would say, well, the Chiefs are America's team, even though they have a rich history. The Patriots, what they used to do. But, I mean, sure, they're still America's team, but they're America's joke as well, unfortunately. And I say that wholeheartedly because it is a joke. I mean, it's like, you aren't trying to get better. And that should be the name of the game. Remember, the teams that often, go on to win the Super Bowl either have a Patrick Mahomes or they make a huge offseason splash where they acquire one or two additional players, and they don't just rely on the draft. They don't just rely on free agency. They do rely on free agency, but because they do what they need to do to get it done rather than just half-ass it. And that's exactly what the Cowboys are doing.
So I look at the Dallas Cowboys, and I look at that moniker America's team, right? And if I can get a little deep because I like these types of conversations, right, when you think about psychology and stuff like that, I look at the Dallas Cowboys as America's team, and I think, what is more American than the Dallas Cowboys? They divide the fan bases of everybody. There is no in-between. You are not like a bipartisan person. You either like the Cowboys or you hate the hell out of them, right? Like there's not an in-between here. And I feel like that's the most American thing that we can have because you either like somebody or you hate the hell out of them. There's no in-between when it comes to this now, right? So to me, yeah, there's still the Dallas Cowboys as America's team because who else drives ratings like that?
Yes.
You're going to watch, and I say this all the time as a joke, but you're going to watch the Dallas Cowboys no matter what. I hate watch teams. And I know that there are other people out there, other fan bases that hate watch the Dallas Cowboys. Like they have to, because what other team do you know can lose a game in triple overtime almost and be like, oh my God, they're so terrible. They lost to the best team in the NFL in overtime. Obviously, they're overrated and garbage. It's just the Dallas Cowboys that get that type of treatment. Even the Patriots at their highest level. At one point, we all just kind of genuflected like, yeah, they're the Patriots, right? They're good. All of us. We know that this is going to be. You appreciated the greatness as you saw it. There was no division there.
Right.
You look at the Dallas Cowboys, and it's divided all over the place. There is no in between. There is no gray area. You hate the Dallas Cowboys or you really love the Dallas Cowboys. And to me, that's the most American thing that I can possibly think of.
I mean, it's to actually see people hate them so much to actually, root for them to lose and just absolutely just despise everything they do. I mean, and right now is the best time, obviously, to hate them. I mean, you're going to pick any time in history because, honestly, and I really hate to be so blunt, but I'm going to be. You know me, I don't care. They've become a joke of a franchise. It's become nonsense. It's become more of a friggin' circus show than anything else with that team. And that's the thing is that they're like, the sideshow, and it's like you can't take them seriously. You can't take them seriously because they keep McCarthy as their coach. That they don't go after a good running back. Aaron Jones is available. You could have got him for 1 year. For really not even paying that much for a running back. To me, he had the best finish of any running back the last 4 weeks of the season rather. He already knows McCarthy's system. He would have fit there like a glove, and they let him go. The going was got there, and they didn't take advantage of it.
I think that again, you cannot put a premium in run. And I would have loved nothing more than to see Aaron Jones be in Dallas because he loves running that state. He grew up a Cowboys fan. Right. I love the mindset that he had though of this team just screwed me over. I'm going to their biggest rival right now. Millie Stevenson saying that she watches the Packers because she's a Vikings fan. Now she gets to really watch the Packers as a Vikings fan, right? Like, because now they've got Aaron Jones. Like, there seems to be some bad blood that's going to be there. I want to see the way that he runs against the Green Bay Packers going in the future, right? Because it's going to be ugly for them whenever they have to face this guy now. They get the wrath of Aaron Jones. But as far as the Dallas Cowboys go, I don't the farther I'm removed from day one, where you saw all the running backs, and again, no big money being spent on these guys.
Yeah.
Right? You saw all the running backs, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones, blah, 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 Gus Edwards, like all these other running backs
Swift.
Going out there getting signed by other teams.
Singletary.
But they had no value to them.
Well, and that's why you get them. That's why you try to get somebody.
And again, because the Dallas Cowboys have terrible contracts, they're so handcuffed that you're not going to spend money on another bad contract. You have to remember what's coming up. Dak Prescott commanding $59.5 million starting next year.
And is he worth it?
No.
Is he worth it? Is it? That's the thing.
Signed him.
He had right. I mean, he had that great season, and he did have a great season. He had that MVP caliber season, but then he did what he does in the playoffs, unfortunately, and that's where you really make your money is the postseason. And he keeps goofing.
He dacked it up.
The Cowboys dacked it up. The Cowboys are who we always know they are, garbage. Absolute garbage. If you're a Cowboys fan, pick another team. That's all I got to say.
Wow, you're already
pick another
there.
team.
You're
I mean, I'm always going to love them.
I've seen a lot of that.
Hey,
on social media, I've seen a lot of that.
You know who was impressive so far? The Bears. Why? Don't give me that. They pick up Swift. Then they pick up Keenan Allen. Then they got all these picks in the first round. Dude, the Bears are spending shekels. The team that's notoriously cheap is spending money. Okay? I mean, Washington gets a good back. The Eagles are getting so much better now. I mean, come on now. You add Saquon to that team? That's gonna be dangerous.
You know how teams get substantially better? Or why teams get substantially better? Because they were hot garbage to begin with.
But the thing is, where they go?
Anything makes it look good.
But they weren't hot garbage. The Eagles were good.
Hottest of garbage.
Which means that UTEP basketball has a chance to get better tonight. It's almost like being a Dallas Cowboys fan, where with Dak Prescott, we just missed the playoffs. But by 1 point, UTEP was able to get into tonight's championship game.
Yeah, I mean, and that again, that's sports, right? Any given day, anything can happen. But I will say this: if any given day, anything can happen. For the last 100 or so plus years, the Chicago Bears have been an absolute dumpster fire.
They have now.
And they're still going to be a dumpster fire.
I beg to differ. I mean, if they do go after the kid from USC, Williams, I think that he could end up being really, really good. And, of course, they may go after Harrison Jr. Imagine if you add him. I don't know that you necessarily, because you already have your top two receivers and more. And, of course, now you bring on Keenan Allen. So that's pretty darn good. And then you bring DeAndre Swift, who's another good pass-catching running back. I mean, hey, imagine if they get Harrison Jr. and of course the kid from USC rather, and that'd be amazing. I mean, talk about a potential Super Bowl team, maybe. Who knows?
Jesus Christ.
Who knows?
I am willing to put a gentleman's wager on this that the Chicago Bears get nowhere near the Super Bowl.
Hey, man.
They don't get near that. They make the playoffs. Maybe they're not getting out of the divisional round. They won't make it to the NFC Championship. They won't make it to the Super Bowl. I'm willing to.
It's hard for me to say they're going to make the Super Bowl. I couldn't say they're going to. I said they're going to be a contender. They're going to be a contender.
So if they're a contender, you can see that team being in the Super Bowl.
Again, I don't even know what quarterback they're going to have right now. I think if they keep making the right moves, then sure, they could be really good.
Keep making the right moves. I'll also say this before we go to our commercial break. What team has ever won the offseason and then won in the actual regular season?
That's a great question to think about.
There's none.
There's never been one.
We'll ponder that. But David also gave us something that we're going to talk about whenever we come up here after the commercial break. Our UTEP Miners are moving on. Moving on up.
Yeah, moving on up.
To the Conference USA Tournament Championship. That is a mouthful to say. We'll have a preview of that stuff coming up here in just a little bit on Fire and Ice on Fox Sports 1380.
Wildlife poaching doesn't just happen in faraway places. It's a crime committed against countless wild animals all around you. Poachers don't care about hunting seasons, endangered species, or even the safety of other humans. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, which protects wild animals through habitat preservation and by confronting cruelty, needs your help. Learn your state's wildlife laws, so when you witness a crime against a wild animal, you can report it immediately. Help protect wildlife at wildlifelandtrust.org.
If you haven't heard, you ready for it? We're all over the place.
You know how to find me, homie.
Your phones, Echoes, Chromes, podcasts, cars, computers, monasteries, toilets, iHeart. Toilets? You get the idea. Okay. We're all over the place. Fox Sports 1380.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
This is high blood pressure. Get back on your plan. Go to loweryourhbp.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Only in the forest can you see this. And this. And this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
I didn't know it could do that!
Because one trip to the forest can spark a world of difference.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, canoeing, fishing, or camping. Or create your own adventure with family and friends, and you might just see this. Your moment's out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Getting support from friends online kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
Instead of smoking after I ate, I'd get up and take a walk.
I missed having a cigarette in my hand, so I'd hold a pen or a straw, anything.
Until I knew I wouldn't give in to temptation, I spent more time with my friends who didn't smoke.
I went to places that were smoke-free.
I didn't stay quit the very first time I tried.
I kept on trying, and I learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
I quit.
I quit.
I quit.
We did it, so can you.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
It is Fire and Ice coming at you live on a Saturday afternoon here from the Fox Sports 1380 studios. I got Brandon the Iceman Cohn hanging out with us. Jonathan Hood giving me all kinds of comments, trying to crack me up in the middle of the conversations that we're having. We were talking in the last segment about the Chicago Bears. Brandon thinks they're a contender for the Super Bowl. They're a contender, baby.
I love the way you sit there, and I just said they could be a good team. I mean, yes, they could be a contender. Yes, they could be. They could have been a contender. They could have been someone. I'm just saying, if they
Every
keep
team-
doing what they do,
Every team at this point in the season
is a contender.
could be a contender.
Sure. But I mean, then again, there are teams that are spending money and looking like they're getting better, and there are teams that aren't spending money.
Are the Bears currently better than the Detroit Lions?
Heck no.
There you go.
No,
They're not
of
even the
course
best
not.
team in their division.
They're not.
And you're sitting over here making. Are they better than the Vikings?
They're
What
just
we see the
making
Vikings do?
Well, they don't have who's their quarterback right now. That's the thing.
Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I mean, okay,
I
so
couldn't get through that
yeah,
one.
I was going to say, yeah, okay, you might as well be QBing for them, but yeah, I mean, I don't think the Vikings are better than the Bears. I mean, the Bears have a lot of growing pains to make. They have a lot of leeway. Now, Aaron Jones is clearly a better back than Swift. Okay, I will say that. But what I am saying is that the Bears had a pretty good backfield last year, so you add Swift to the mix, assuming they keep everybody there, Johnson and the other kid. I mean, I'm just saying that this team is making necessary moves to be an improved franchise. And if Williams is the real McCoy, like I said last week, if he's the real deal and you do take him at 1, you know, you can make a lot of noise here in the first round.
I've already said it a few times. I'll say it again. I'll reiterate it here. I don't think they should draft a quarterback. I think they've got Justin Fields. I think
Fields is not bad, and he's got a lot of weapons now. So
is Fields worse than what you get with the rookie Caleb Williams? And the answer to that is like you don't know.
He's a
right
rookie.
now,
It's a flip of the coin. It's
but
hard to say.
Justin Fields, what, 3rd year, 4th year?
I want to say 4th, if I have to, you know, but and of course he does know the system, and not only that, but again, he was improved, especially since you added more there. Now you add opposite to him, Keenan Allen, an 8-time Pro Bowler. I mean, that's intense. That's great.
So David brought it up a little while ago. The UTEP basketball team, our UTEP Miners, moving on in the Conference USA tournament. We were not expecting this. It took a hell of a flourish at the end of the season, winning 3 straight games. And Conference USA is by no means like the best basketball there is. But UTEP wins 3 straight games, makes it to be the number 5 seed, and then gets a pretty decent road here. Yesterday, able to knock off Sam Houston State, a major comeback. I want to say they were down 26 points combined in the last 2 games to be able to get these comebacks and win these games. Now they're in the Conference USA Championship. Is there a possibility, Brandon? Can we say that this team is going to go dancing?
Absolutely. I mean, why not? You know, you made it this far. This is why college basketball is the best, hands down, best playoff system of all time in the NCAA tournament and the conference tournaments. Look, Sam Houston, they won the CUSA regular season championship. They will not go into the tournament now, not being the regular season champions. All that matters is what you can do in your conference tournament championships. And the UTEP Miners have decided to get hot at the right time. In no other sport can you finish in or around 500. Okay, I mean football, sure. You know, there's if you're in a bad division, but in no other sport can you be pretty much barely over 500 and still make the playoffs. And that's exactly what's going for the Miners right now. An unbelievable run. And I mean, look, they exploited Sam Houston State. They couldn't make their free throws down the stretch. UTEP being a number 5 seed, it's the lowest seed in 13 years to make the CUSA championship. And they haven't made it since I think it was 2010, Floyd's first year.
Yep.
And of course, the year they lost to Memphis here at home. But I mean, it's an incredible run. Everybody was talking so much trash about this team up until a month ago. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, the Miners could go dancing again. Not only could they go dancing, but they're on the type of run where they win a first-round game. They win a first-round game. If they beat Western Kentucky, they're going to win a first-round game. That's a gentleman's bet for you, Bubba.
I will gladly.
They'll be a 13. They can knock off a 4. You know how many times do you see a 13 knock off a 4?
I was going to bring this up, and I'm glad that you brought it up. I don't think they'd be a 13. I think they'd be like a 15, 16.
Oh, there's no way you get them a 16.
I understand.
USA. I understand. See, you're right. 13's pretty high for them. 14 and a 2.
Yeah, 14
not
and a 2.
15. You're not going to put them in as a 15 or a play-in, you know.
So UTEP versus Kentucky. UTEP.
Yeah, that'd be great, huh? Imagine that.
That'd be a flashback.
Imagine that.
It wouldn't go the way.
Oh my goodness! The first time since '66, UTEP against. Now, if they're smart, they would make like a matchup like that, or UTEP against Arizona, or you never know because you got to think about Arizona's going to be a 2, right? I think they're saying.
I was going to say like UTEP versus UNC. I'd be all in.
So I mean, again, you get in as a 4. You're going to be a 14. I don't think they'll be a 5. I think they'll be a 14 plays 2, right? 16 plays one, three. Okay, so maybe better off to be a 15. They could be a 15. I think when Middle got in a few years, they were like a 15, 14, something like that. I mean,
well, they had the upset as a 15 seed over Michigan State.
I think it was,
So,
And then I can't remember I think UAB beat Iowa State or something. Yeah. GUSA teams are decent in the tournament in the first round. Look for the upset.
Currently, right now, because today is basically conference championship crowning day, we've got so many teams that are on the bubble of getting in, so many teams on the bubble of getting out. Earlier today, Vermont gets a 66-61 win over UMass Lowell. So Vermont, out of the American East, one of the first teams into the NCAA tournament. Congrats to them. Obviously, later on today, we got Delaware State versus Howard. That's going to be on ESPN2. Iowa State versus Houston. That's going to be a fun game to watch in the Big 12 championship.
I hope Houston actually does more than they did last year at the tournament. But yes, that's going to be a fun one. I'm looking forward to that one.
Out of the Mountain West, we've got New Mexico taking on San Diego State. That is the Mountain West Superchargers. In the Big East, Marquette taking on UConn. The MAC championship, Kent State versus Akron. The MAC St. Peter's versus Fairfield. The ACC championship, and this is going to be a fun one for me because, as you know, I love me some North Carolina. UNC versus NC State. A couple of my good friends from North Carolina are huge Wolfpack fans. Tyrone Mallard, I'm looking at you, my guy. A couple of days ago, NC State beats Duke. Yeah. Tyrone's wife, Duke fan.
Yep.
I can only imagine what those things are like those conversations are like. But hey, then of course UTEP taking on Western Kentucky in the Pac-12. We got Oregon versus Colorado. The Big West, Long Beach State versus UC Davis. Then the SWAC championship, Texas Southern taking on Grambling. WAC championship, UT Arlington and Grand Canyon. And of course, it's going to be a lot more fun going forward in all these. I'm looking forward to this. This is my favorite time of the basketball calendar because I'm just such a basketball nerd. I love the Cinderella stories.
Yes.
I will have like 3 or 4 TVs on in the house as March Madness is going on. That first day of March Madness, this is going to be in my veins, man.
There's so many games. It's awesome. I love it. Yes. And I mean, look, like I said, the NCAA tournament is so wonderful and expanded as many teams as you want. I'm okay with that. I really am. Just because it gives the David versus Goliath matchups galore, especially in the first couple of rounds. And there's always upsets. If you don't pick upsets in your bracket, you're a schmuck. You absolutely have to go 13 over 4 or, 4. And nowadays, hey, take a 16 over a 1. I mean, it happens. We've seen it, twice now?
Yeah.
So, I mean, 10 years ago, it wouldn't be unheard of to see a 16 knock off a 1. But nowadays, it's not to say that the competition isn't as good. It's all about the matchups. We know that, but you just never know. I mean, it's one game. Anything can happen. I love the fact that you're going to see maybe 2 teams make it to the Elite Eight that they had no business being there. There's no way they were going to do anything in the regular season, but they won their conference championship. That's why the tournament's so wonderful.
Millie Stevenson saying, I don't care if they lost, go Duke.
I mean, Duke's as good as anybody. There's no prohibited favorite this year.
Oh, that was Destiny. Sorry. I'm trying to read a million different things here.
Hey, you better get her name right next time.
No.
Look at that, cracking the mic open the first time just to scold me.
Yeah, you deserve it, buddy.
I said that. I don't care if Duke lost, go Duke anyway.
Go Blue Devils. Look, you can't spell Blue Devils without multiple L's.
That's right. That's so I hear.
They lost twice to Carolina.
You're a funny guy.
So there you go.
I mean, look, UConn's great. I mean, you got to love UConn. They'll be the number 1 overall seed. Purdue, I like to call them Purdue, just because they usually goof. They'll be a 1 seed. Houston's good. I mean, there's some Duke and UNC. There's a lot of contenders going into March Madness here. But still, I mean, right now, if you're looking at one team, UConn's probably the team to beat. But then again, anything can happen. You never know.
Again, you're tuned in to Fire and Ice right here on Fox Sports 1380. Mike Tipton with Brandon the Iceman Cohn. We got Destiny running the board. Without Dave, we wouldn't have been on the air today, so that's always a good thing. Thank you, Dave. So I was thinking about this because I don't want to say I'm such a naysayer when it comes to UTEP sports or athletics. I feel like I'm just I am, right? Like I'm not too high on them. I'm never too low on them. I know what the expectation should be. I'm a history guy. UTEP historically in football wins 3 games a year. You win 4 games that year. I'm a happy guy. UTEP basketball historically doesn't make the NCAA tournament.
No.
So I'll say they're not going to make the NCAA tournament.
I understand.
And I feel like history's on my side. It's also the super safe bet, right? Also, for me, just personally, I have my expectation down here. They can't hurt me.
No.
That's kind of the way that it goes.
I mean, yeah, absolutely not.
So if they were to make the NCAA tournament, which they're a game away, right? Just a couple of hours away from knowing what's going to happen with this team going forward. If they were to make it into the NCAA tournament, and if they were to get this very elusive win that you think they're going to get, the first one since 1992, a longer span since the Dallas Cowboys have won a Super Bowl, almost as long since the Bears have won a Super Bowl, but they're contenders now. So now we look at this. If UTEP can go in and get themselves a win in the Conference USA tournament, I will be loud wrong, and I will accept my L. But what punishment should I have?
To take me out for a good grease.
To take you, that's the punishment? Feed Brandon Cohn?
I gotta think of something. I mean, you deserve something.
So yeah, we'll think of something because I'm always loud. Again, I'm not like a hater.
I like what you asked though. We were talking about this last night. If they do win, and then let's say they even go into the tournament and win a game, then where do you rank this minor squad based on all the teams that we've seen that have made the tournament, all the great teams in the past? Now, I will say this. I don't rank them as obviously one of the better UTEP minor squads just because of how they finished the regular season.
Historically, they'll never be number one.
No. But, I mean, here's the thing. If you do make a run and you continue on this run and you get hot at the exact right time, which you need to get hot end of February, beginning of March, then this team will certainly be remembered. And Joe Golding all of a sudden goes from being, oh, did we goof again, to, hey, maybe we made the right decision.
You talk about a guy coaching his rear end off.
Right.
He is like, I am making this tournament.
Yes, I love it.
Because I have a feeling if he goes 0-3 to end the season, UTEP finishes the season 11-18.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, bad.
We're talking about him going away.
Going away. Bad, gone. Yeah. Now, if this team can win the conference championship against Western Kentucky, and like I said, make a little bit of a run, even you get there, you win a game, then maybe we may be commemorating them 10 years from now because the team never makes the freaking NCAA tournament. You know what I mean? We'll take anything. We'll take any scrap you can give us at this point.
That's what I was going to bring up now, right? So if hypothetically they make the tournament, they get a win in the tournament. I don't like putting the cart ahead of the horse.
I understand. You got to make it first.
I don't want to put pressure on them.
I'm just saying what
kids,
they could do right now.
Right? So hypothetically, they get the win. They go in there. They've got to be number 3, right? Because obviously you got the 66 team.
92.
I think the last time they won was 92. Like you've had other
Sweet
teams
16.
that made the tournament.
Yeah. A team in the 80s, maybe the one that beat Arizona. I mean, I'd have to look. I don't know about 3. That's maybe 4. But again, it depends what you do. It depends, with this story still being written. I can't tell you where they're going to be ranked until it's all said and done. I can tell you this is an awesome run. Okay. Yeah. This is an awesome run. I take my hat off to them. They were dead in the water. Nobody gave them a chance in hell. And this is why, again, yes, the USA is garbage. It's a terrible conference. You can keep it. It sucks, right? It's where you drop off all the teams that are horrid. But, you get in. I mean, you just get in for crying out loud, right?
And that's the thing, right? Like,
be one of the 68.
You get in, the sun shines on the dog.
Anyone can win the lottery.
Exactly.
Get in.
So I look at this UTEP team, and I sit here and I think to myself what the possibilities could be.
Sure.
Right? And you kind of said this has been a hell of a run.
Yes, it has.
It's been a week and a half.
Yes, right. Isn't that ironic if you think about it?
The previous 22 weeks before were just a throwaway. You give us this 2-week run, and we are all in on you now.
We love you. What have you done for me lately?
I'm about to say, this is the definition of it. What have you done for me lately? And it's this team actually being in this spot because none of us. I wrote them off as dead back in February. That was going to be one of the first shows that we had. It was supposed to be on my birthday, right? And I was going to say that was going to be my big welcome to Fox Sports 1380. My hottest take of them all. UTEP's dead in the water.
I mean, they were.
The hottest take would have been maybe they make the NCAA tournament.
Well, that would have been funny. I mean, look, they beat a good Sam Houston team. They beat a good Sam Houston State team, forced them into 15 turnovers. And that's the thing is that, again, a lot of people figured, hey, this is going to be the team to beat in CUSA. Hence the reason why you're the number 1 seed. It's an accomplishment for this program right now that they even made the championship of the CUSA championships in the tournament. I mean, either they don't make the NCAA tournament, you're going to continue to break everyone's heart in El Paso. But nevertheless, at least you were able to make it to the championship. And, hopefully you have some things to build on for next year. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, and that's kind of the thing that I'm looking for here now is, and I hate playing musical coaches, so I wasn't never going to fire Goldie, not at this point in time. Like, you got to wait. You got to have the whole contract
5 years,
play out. Yeah.
4 years, 5 years.
That's always my minimum is 5 years.
This is 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would say this: if he were to make the NCAA tournament this year,
oh, he's golden. No pun intended. He's golden. He's golden. He's you make the tournament, you give starving El Paso fans something to be optimistic for in the future. And gosh, if you win a game, build a statue next to Don Haskins. It's like Haskins and Golding. It's like, where's the Golding statue now? You know what I mean? And you win a game, it's like, are you kidding me?
But Golding would have to wait about 58 years before we get the statue.
He'd be like 90 by the time you got a statue. But I mean, I'm just saying, man, a one-story program, just when you thought we were out, boom, we're back. You know what I mean?
Blue bloods. That's what we are in this game.
Hey, man.
College basketball blue bloods.
I just, now we have to see what happens tonight, right?
Oh, my God.
Now we have to see what happens.
I have this horrible feeling that we're hyping this
Probably.
up, and they're going to get blown out by 50.
Yeah, well, let's hope it doesn't happen, but I guess we'll see.
But again, I'd rather get blown out by 50 than lose at the buzzer, and we've seen a lot of teams losing at the buzzer.
Again, that's the best part, again, is about these games is they're so close, a lot of them, and they won by 2 yesterday. 2 is as good as 200. Just get the victory, get it down the stretch, and it was a nice finish. It really was a good finish.
Okay,
good
so
for them.
So we're going to be looking forward to that. The game is going to be on CBS Sports Network, so I'm looking forward to watching
About 6:30, I think.
At 6:30 this evening. UTEP taking on Western Kentucky. I love this quote-unquote rivalry between the two of them, Western Kentucky and UTEP, because one of the first games whenever I came back here to El Paso, I'm finally in like a groove. I can watch UTEP basketball. I go to the game where they're commemorating the 50th anniversary of the NCAA championship team, that 66 team, that historical team. And they're down. It's about 3 minutes left, 17 points to Western Kentucky. Nobody left. Surprisingly, no one in El Paso left. And they go on a run and wind up winning the game in the last second.
That was great.
It was a phenomenal atmosphere.
The NCAA president was at that game. Remember?
Yes.
And every seat had a blue or a navy blue or an orange shirt on it. Remember that?
Yes.
That was cool.
Yes.
I still have that shirt.
I still have it too.
That was 2015 or 16?
2016.
Okay. It was a great game.
Yes.
That was a great game.
I remember just being there. Like it was an amazing atmosphere. And I remember thinking to myself, man, they're going to be able to build off of this.
For sure. And they didn't. They did absolutely nothing.
It's been 8 years.
It's been a while. It's been a minute. They've done nothing.
But you know what? Again, like just them being in the conversation. They don't have to be a team that's burning down the world as like a greatest team in basketball. They just have to be in the conversation. And look how this city has rallied around this team.
Yeah,
right?
It's wonderful.
And it's the same thing with UTEP football. If UTEP football were to get 6 wins, just make it to be bowl eligible, this city will follow them to that bowl.
For sure.
Let's make it the Bahamas Bowl and make it worth us going to, not the Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah, who gives a crap about that? But I mean, all I got to say is, making the NCAA tournament does a wonder for your programs financially, recruitment-wise. Again, there's a lot of great players nowadays. They're 3-4-star recruits. They're not going to get the kind of playing time that they want at another Texas school or another Big 12 or SEC school. You can get them here at UTEP possibly. Make the tournament, changes everything.
Brandon, last week we got to enjoy some amazing mimosas. What do you think about those?
They were phenomenal.
They were absolutely
delicious.
Phenomenal. And I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Island Getaway Rum. They were founded in 2016 by Stephanie Houston and the distiller James Davidson at their Dripping Springs-based distillery. And they embark on a new chapter of unprecedented growth this time. You can buy their rum at Specs. And Brandon, believe this or not, it sold out the first week that it was here. That is how good that Island Getaway Rum is. And the best part about it, Brandon, is that they have not just dark rum and white rum. They also have coconut rum, which is what we got to have a bit of whenever we had our mimosas as well. I can't wait to get some more of that Island Getaway Rum in my system because it's been a hell of a day already. It's noon, and I'm already could have multiple drinks in my system by now. But I encourage you, the city of El Paso, go on out there to Specs, ask for Island Getaway Rum. Believe me, it's like taking your mouth on a vacation. You're going to absolutely love it. Whenever we come back here on Fox Sports 1380, we're going to talk some more about sports. Maybe the Dallas Cowboys. Maybe we talk some more about NFL free agency. But Brandon, I am excited about what's happening.
Are you?
Because we got baseball coming.
Right man, it's pitchers and catchers and spring training, and oh my goodness, spring break is here.
All that and more on Fox Sports 1380.
Fox Sports 1380 is an iHeart radio station.
A lot of El Paso businesses would agree that it's getting harder to find new customers. After all, it's one thing to run a business and another to grow it. But what if you had access to everyone listening in the El Paso area right now? As the number one audio company in America and market leader in El Paso, iHeartMedia gives you access to all of the customers you need to grow at a fraction of the cost of digital, video, and social advertising, but with twice the reach. Get started today. Go to iHeartAdvertising.com.
Tax Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. This tax season, you get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a Samsung Galaxy A14 included when you buy an extended Silver Unlimited plan. So you can give your janky phone to your kids. Yeah!
Switch to Straight Talk. Find us at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. Taxes and fees apply.
We've got a style. It wasn't about the stats, it's more the style. And that style can never be matched.
That's it. That's what's really happening.
So don't ever,
Do you think I'm lying?
ever
Sorry, I had to burp.
try to duplicate us. Bam! Just like that.
Hey, whoop it up, yeah.
Fox Sports 1380.
Are you a fellow car guy? I have a 2008 Ford Mustang GT convertible, and nothing makes me happier in that car than when it's nice and clean. And you know who helps me get there? RevAutoCarCare.com. They help me get that pony looking as nice and shiny and ready for any of the car meetups that are all around the great city of El Paso. Spoil your car and go to RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton and view all the inventory they have and find out what works for you to help make your ride shine. RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton. Use promo code Tipton33 at checkout to save 15%. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast or live stream? Just the Tip Production LLC can help you out. We offer a beautiful, centrally located studio that has the perfect environment for your podcast. The costs add up, not to mention the time it takes for you to edit everything. And then the one thing people don't realize is, how do I get it posted? How do I get it promoted? You know what? Just the Tip Productions LLC will help you out with that. We'll handle all that dirty work. All you have to do is just show up, talk. It's really that simple. Just the Tip Productions LLC at justthetip915@gmail.com for all of your podcasting inquiries.
Want to know what I like best about high school sports? I love watching my son run on the field. I love seeing him smile when he high-fives his teammates. I love seeing his eyes light up when his team scores a goal. I love the fact that since he's been playing high school sports, he's making better decisions. And I love knowing that high school sports have never been safer. Why? Because coaches have more information than they've ever had. Training techniques are more sophisticated, and equipment has never been more advanced. Playing high school sports isn't just safe. It's still the best way to give your teenager a healthy head start in life. And that's something I really love.
This message about the value of high school sports is presented by the Texas University Interscholastic League and the Texas High School Athletic Directors Association.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my two kids can eat, but saving up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
It is Fire and Ice coming at you live on a Saturday afternoon here from the Fox Sports 1380 studios. That right there, music from our guy Mark E. Mix, radio producer first radio producer that I had here on Fox Sports 1380. He makes his own EDM music. You can check him out on SoundCloud at Mark E. Mix. Love his music. Brandon, I can see you vibing already.
I love it.
Brandon, the EDM guy.
It's pretty good.
I was going to say something I probably cannot say
You
on
got-
air.
be
So
careful. We're on the radio
I was about to
now.
say, I have to get used to this role
Yes,
again.
yes, no cursing.
It's been really good. I haven't even gotten
You've
close.
been well behaved.
And
I've been
that's
well
different for me.
behaved. Yes.
That's very different.
You've been very good considering the way I used to, see you.
Curse words are a part of my everyday vernacular.
I know.
So I'm
As
just,
are inappropriate stories.
well then.
Once in a while, that's why I love you. You're my buddy.
A couple of days from now, and actually a couple of weeks, the El Paso Chihuahuas are going to be kicking off their season. First pitch will be happening. I've been paying attention to everything spring training. You know I love me some baseball. I can't watch baseball on TV the way that I used to. It just knocks me out now. But you get me into the game, like at the stadium, I am on every single pitch. I'm trying to see how fast it's going, how much break it has. I love me some baseball. You can catch baseball here on Fox Sports 1380 with the Texas Rangers. This is their local affiliate for the defending World Series champion, Texas Rangers, a phrase I thought I would never say in my
Yes,
lifetime.
no doubt.
That team went on a hell of a run, similar to UTEP. Maybe there's some magic here in the state of Texas and in Chicago because they're contenders too.
Oh, shut up. Oh, hush, for crying out loud. It's just a statement,
They're
God
Super
almighty.
Bowl contenders. I'm going to hold you better hope they do something this year.
They're going to be decent.
If they start off 0-6, it is going to be relentless, my guy.
Hey, they're still contenders. They're still contenders. They can still get in there. They can still get in there.
But I've been watching all the transactions during spring training and looking at everything that's going on in the world of baseball right now. The Yankees are in trouble. Their ace, Garrett Cole, out for an extended period of time. It's more than likely going to be Tommy John because whenever you have that inflammation and irritation in the elbow, you kind of know what it is. They're going to see if he can pitch through it, which I think is a nightmare. You do not do that to a pitcher. I don't care how old they are. You go get the surgery, take the year as a loss, come back next year, and try to build back up, right? But the Yankees are still kind of in this position of, do we spend money and sign a couple of free agents that are still out there? Yeah, this late into spring training, there are still major free agents out there. Blake Snell, the defending NL Cy Young winner, and the pitcher from St. Louis, his name escapes me right now, but he used to pitch for the Yankees, and I'll get that in a second. But you got a couple of guys out there that they can probably sign and maybe help them out. Instead, they're kind of just staying fast. So saying, no, we're not going to spend this money right now. Let's just see what this team's got. If you're the Yankees, Brandon, what do you do? Because no matter what you do, as you enter any season with the New York Yankees, there are always World Series championship expectations.
Yes, absolutely. And they have fallen well below those expectations here, especially in the last few years, considering all the acquisitions they've made, considering the amount of money that they continue to spend. I mean, Judge went on his crazy run a couple of years ago. You gave him the money, and he didn't follow it up with nearly as good of a campaign. Pitching has continued to be a problem for you. It's just one of those things where there's always going to be a great expectations that come along with that franchise because they are the Yankees, and just like the Cowboys or whatever, you're supposed to be good. You're in a big market. You spend a lot of money. It doesn't translate to wins. And the bottom line is that it's about chemistry. It's about mid-season acquisitions. It's about being the right manager. Clearly, the Rangers had the best manager last year. You bring in a guy like Bochy, who you don't think at his age is going to make that much of a difference, but he truly did. I think part of it, again, is the organization, how it's run. I think it's a little stale. I really do. I like Cashman. I like what he did 20 years ago, but he hasn't done much in the last who knows how many years. So, again, in the ultimate world of what have you done for me lately, they've done jack squat lately. And they've also proven that just because you spend a lot of money, if you're not a well-run organization, if you don't have the guys behind the scenes running the show, you're going to be crap. And that's what they've been because they've fallen short of expectations.
The Yankees are entering the 15th season since they won a championship in 2009. That is a lifetime.
It's a long time for them.
For the Yankees.
It's a long time for them.
That story franchise, right? I think the average was like 3 years in between championships. And this team is going on now 15 years since they won themselves a world championship. Looking at some of the other stuff that's out there in baseball as well. Shohei Ohtani going to the Dodgers. As we all know, last year with the Angels, tears a ligament in his arm. He does ultimately get the Tommy John surgery, or as he says it, an elbow cleanup. That's what it was. And he's not going to be pitching this year, but he's going to be hitting. When you look at that lineup, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Shohei Ohtani, that top of an order is almost 1929 Yankees-ish murderers row style of baseball that they're going to be playing here. Does that make the Dodgers the best team? And could Ohtani be an MVP candidate even though he's a DH, like just strictly as a DH?
We've seen some very good DH candidates before, and we've seen some that make some tremendous strides in terms of being MVP and MVP candidates. I think O'Shanti's are going to be the real McCoy again in New York, in LA rather. I think he brings a tremendous attributes to that franchise. Could be the missing link that they didn't have before. Clearly, they've done everything that's necessary to win a World Series. Now, will it translate to being that good? I mean, they could easily win 100 games, if not more, this coming season. Again, the baseball gods have to be kind to you. You have to stay healthy. You have to make the right moves. You have to be well managed. I think they have all those possibilities, but the big Achilles heel for them is, performing in the postseason. That's a completely different story. You could be a great regular season team and a garbage postseason team, but on paper right now, probably the best team in baseball. On paper,
you take them over the Braves.
I do.
Okay.
But
that's also got to do with the Ronald Acuna.
Absolutely, but you can't disregard the Rangers as possibly becoming the first team since the Yankees to repeat, right?
Yeah.
So the Texas has everything going for them as well. And again, you can't screw with momentum, and they have momentum from last year. We'll see what happens there.
That's 162 games of trying to maintain that momentum is going to be a little difficult.
It always is. It's such a long season. But again, Bochy's a great manager. He knows how to run an organization. He knows how to work with the pitching staff. They have a great pitching staff. I mean, the Rangers are going to be as good as anybody in the game this year.
So the Texas Rangers last year were a dark horse. This year, I don't think we could say maybe that's a team that's
no, that's not a dark horse.
The same thing with Arizona, right?
No, absolutely not.
Last year, both of them, they were not just dark horses; they were in the shadow. No one even knew these horses existed.
Absolutely not.
And now this year, we've got to kind of look at it and say, okay, maybe these teams could be contenders.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all the teams that you're looking at in Major League Baseball right now, what team do you think is possibly a dark horse candidate going forward?
I mean, I know people are going to say I'm crazy, but I think that the Colorado Rockies have some things to offer. They could contend in the West. I'd love to see San Diego do something, but they always fade down the stretch. I think the Chicago White Sox have some pieces. They're also trying to get a new ballpark there in the South Loop of town. I think the White Sox have been close to at least being better. And I don't say that just because I'm a huge White Sox fan. I think that there's, you add Jordan Walker to the St. Louis Cardinals. He's certainly a player to watch. The Cardinals are one of those teams you can never disregard. But, I mean, I think all those teams I just noted could make some noise this year. Will they win the World Series? I mean, that's obviously a stretch. But, I mean, who the hell knows? That anybody can win it. In the end, baseball really is that wide open, in my opinion.
And that's the thing I love about baseball is, like, you'll have your contenders that are always going to be contenders, and then you'll have these storied franchises that you don't expect to be bottom feeders. But this year, the team that's expected to be the worst team in baseball is the Boston Red Sox.
That's crazy. Who would have thought that?
They're spending money.
Yes, they are.
And that's a crazy thing to me. But whenever I look at a team that might do something that surprises all of us, I'm looking at the Miami Marlins.
Miami's another franchise that, you never saw coming. Their 2 World Series championships, you really never saw coming in general. And, I mean, that's what, and they have that nice ballpark. They've spent some shekels. I mean, I don't mind the Marlins. I'd love to see the Marlins make a run.
Also, I want to give a congratulations before we leave here on Fire and Ice on Fox Sports 1380. I want to give some love to our friend Jennifer Hahn, who is now going to be one of the newest members inducted into the Women's International Boxing Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts on that?
I think she's unbelievable. I think she was the champ for several years, El Paso's first champion. She is such a well-represented individual. She is of a very high-respected caliber here. I mean, represents the city well. The family is well respected. The dojo does a great job. Her and her brother and her other sister, and so on. So well deserving of Jenny. I mean, when I heard it, I was really in awe of the fact that she has finally gotten to what she deserves.
It's nice to see that she is getting the recognition
for sure
that she deserves for the run that she had as the featherweight champion. Whenever she was the women's featherweight champion for the IBC, it's exciting to see what's going to happen there with Jennifer Hahn going forward. And also her sister, Stephanie Hahn. She's going to be boxing in Philadelphia coming up soon as well. Everyone, I want to thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you all next week on Fire and Ice on Fox Sports 1380.
Find Fox Sports 1380 on your smart speaker. Just say, play Fox Sports 1380 on iHeartRadio.
If you see something, why do you say something?
I see safe for my friends.
For my community.
For everyone here. We all have something worth protecting, a why that unifies us. Report suspicious activity to local authorities. If you see something, say something.
Fire and Ice is new to Fox Sports 1380, but